Hello, dreamers and thinkers, and welcome back to another episode of Undone. For today's episode, we have our third and final installment of the conversations that we had at our last event. But before we get into that, if you would like to partner with us, send some love, head on over to buymeacoffee.com/undone the podcast. So in this section of the night, I had Nyasha join me and I had Mama Selba join me. Nyasha works for Department of, it's called DFOH. So she basically works for child protection, and Mama Selba works within the community, working with families and young people and older people. She has a real intergenerational approach to the work that she does. And the theme for this conversation was families. What role do families play in youth disengagement? How can we help family structures to minimize or limit youth disengagement? And it was really interesting to see because the whole night that conversation kept being brought up in different ways in the other conversations, and to have it have a dedicated section for itself is really exciting. I think we had a robust conversation and I'm excited to hear what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video.
These are my two favorite ladies to speak to, and the shortest phone call I've had with either of them is like 10 minutes. So I am definitely going to be getting my timer out for this one. You guys are under strict instructions, okay? If you guys could please tell the audience about yourself and the work that you do in 60 seconds or less.
I think, Kodzai, you are being unrealistic. You give the boys more time and the women less time.
No, I said 60 seconds or less for everyone else.
Okay. Well, honestly, if I start telling you what I do, we will leave this place tomorrow morning. For me to be fair, just Google Afri-Oz Care, Google Selba Gonodza Luka, Google Black Rhinos Basketball. You will find everything there. And also, this year, last month, I was awarded OAM.
That's right.
Guess what? That's for the community, for you, not me. Because everywhere I go, I stand up for you guys.
Amen.
So, if I can go backwards again, last year in May, I was awarded the first Amari Icon Award. This all tells you that I am a mentor of mentors. I'm not scared to talk to authorities about African people, whether they are doing good or they are doing bad, because you are all our children. That's my introduction.
Wow. Beautiful.
Sure. Wow, I am even inspired by sitting in this chair. For many of you, you're probably wondering why I'm sitting here, because you know me as a musician, that of which I am, but that of which I am, but I am also work in the Department of Families, Fairness and Housing and Child Protection specifically. So that is the job that I do 9 to 5, and then music is something that I do as part of my passion and my dream and my pursuit. What else can I say? I'm like thinking, I was put on the spot, but I am an ambassador for a foundation called the Chosen Foundation, which helps to support food security, education, and teen moms in Zimbabwe specifically. I am I'm a youth artist mentor, so I work with, bridging my academia, which was in psychology and community development, and working with young people by being their mentor within the music space as well. And yeah, I work with children in general is what I do on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
I'm excited because you guys are phenomenal women, and I know this conversation is going to be hot. So to start off lightly, are parents and caregivers given enough tools to create environments that prevent disengagement, or are they left to figure things out alone?
Settlement challenges. I don't think the government was prepared for us African people to raise our children in a first world country. Back home, child does something wrong, you whip them, they will go to grandmother, they will do the same. Here, our children, if they do that, it's 000. They are encouraged to call 000. And they do have rights. I always say rights without responsibilities. If there are young people in here, of course, rights are good, but listen to your parents. Because the way we were taught, it's not the way you are taught in schools or your friends. So to tell you the truth, parents didn't have, they still don't have enough, or they are not equipped enough to raise the children. What we need to do as parents, we need to have that great, beautiful heart, accepting our kids. Even though they do something bad, please discipline them as what Brother Orlando said, but do it with kindness. Because if you go hard, definitely they will challenge you. Then they will go to child protection. I work with child protection. And sometimes you will never see them again until when they are 18 and you can't even recognize your child. So we actually desperately need the government. I was at the federal government meeting recently. I actually spoke broadly. We need support. Mothers need support. How they can support their children. Maybe working closer with the child protection to see what African values are. Because no matter what, we will not throw away our African values. Never. We want to transfer the values to you guys. So listen to us, because we are not going to live forever. For instance, I'm 61 years old. I would be lucky to be 96 like late Queen Elizabeth. But listen to the brains that we have. That's my ask. So we need that. The young people, listen to us, please. But also the parents, be kind.
I need to hear the question again.
I knew you would say that. Are parents and caregivers given enough tools to create environments that prevent disengagement, or are they left to figure things out alone?
If we were to ask that question, what are the tools then that parents are actually being given? Because a lot of it, I think, with the society that we currently live in, the emphasis is on the child. So child best practices, trauma-informed practice within the child space. So I don't believe that there is support. In fact, I think once, for example, children end up in child protection and they have different foster carers and caregivers, that's where the money's poured in. That's where the resources are poured in. That's where, like, everything is poured into making sure that that foster care home doesn't break down. But there's not enough support for the families, for the biological parents or the kinship carers to support these kids. Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to throw it to the audience. I think they said a lot of weighty and powerful things. Does anyone have anything they would like to say, add, ask? Orlando. You're ruining my audio. I have content to make, Orlando. We need to give you a mic.
I just have a question where you say they invest a lot of those funding into the foster care area. I get it to a degree because I was a foster care parent a couple years ago, and the training that I had to go through was quite intense. But once I received a foster child, and he's only for respite, it wasn't much funding for me to take care of this child. Like, they reimbursed me when I took him out to the movies and the dinners and things like that. But for the 2 nights that he stayed with me, I made less money if I were to work as a nurse. So I'm just curious, when you say the funding goes to foster parents, I don't, maybe because I only had a respite child and not a full-time child. But I was just curious, budget-wise, I hear what you're saying with how they should invest that money in the parents and not the actual organization. If I hear that correctly, that they may have a better result.
I guess I'm speaking more from like the permanency of like an out-of-home care or kinship care, which for some can last from months to years. Yeah, so that's what I'm speaking to.
We are using terminology that everyone might not know. If you could please explain what out-of-home care is and what kinship care is.
So kinship care is when a child has been removed from their family and is put in a home, I suppose, where they're getting taken care of someone that's known to them. So an auntie, a family friend, someone in the community. So that's kinship care. Out-of-home care is a little bit different. It could be like foster care or residential care as well.
Okay. Okay, this one's going to be, have fun. Are we failing young people by not holding parents accountable for the environments they create, e.g. the presence of family violence, absenteeism due to work, lack of emotional support?
We are not failing our young people. If parents can't work, they can't pay rent, the houses will be repossessed. Am I right, audience? And also, there has to be a form of communication. I will repeat, form of positive communication between a child and a parent. You will never have problems at all. I had a problem myself. That's why we started Afro's Care with my daughter Kwacha, because I used to use strict African family values. If we have families here, you are using strict family values, I tell you they don't work. Take your children as your friends. Discuss. They will not run away if they have problems. So I would say possibly the African parents, we need to revisit how we can work with our young people here in Australia. I always say, it is said, when you are in Rome, do as Romans do. We cannot ask the government to change all of a sudden so that we can discipline our children in a different way. So I would say yes and no. Because yes, you can work, but when you come from work, I always tell parents, because I do parenting sessions, no matter you are tired, 7:30 you are coming from night duty, your child is coming, give them a kiss, put them on the lap, pretend you are awake. That child will not know that you are mentally tired. But if you tell them I'm tired, you go to bed, you are distancing yourself from the child. The main thing is, get your kids to be your friends. You will never fail.
Since this was meant to be a debate, I have an
Open
alternative
discussion.
perspective. I think to some degree, sometimes we have such high standards of our parents, considering the trauma that they've also experienced that is unresolved a lot of the times. The things that they also have to go through whilst at work, the racism, the, not being paid enough, having to work 2, 3, 5 jobs in order to sustain their children. So I guess we can speak more to, sometimes the cup is empty. It's actually empty. It's more than empty, it's got holes in it. So whatever it is that they're trying to pour into it, there's nothing left to give, because they're giving their all. And for a lot of them, we're coming from countries where there was either war or we're coming for better economic upgrades, and a lot of that focus is about survival, making sure that your kids are just going to be okay. They have the basic needs, they have housing, they have food, they have whatever, and the mentality becomes, what more do you want? You're in a safe space. But I know that's not helpful, but that's what a lot of people are thinking about, and that's the conversations that do come up a lot, with families.
Can I just add something? Don't waste your time and money buying expensive things for your children if you are not there with them. Do you understand me? Don't. Because they will use those expensive phones, but they will still be doing weird things. They need your love. They need that kiss. They need that moolah, beautiful food from home, not McDonald's.
I'm gonna throw that question to the audience. Of course we'll give you the microphone. Where's the microphone? Bring it quickly. Yes, and then one more down the back. Sorry, again. Yes.
Well, I agree with both of your points. Failing, I don't think the parents are failing. They've done their role. So big hats off to the parents. Think we've adapted. Multiple of us have lived in multiple different countries. They've done their gig. That's about it. They can hang it up. They can retire. Well, I wouldn't say that, but I think it's up to the kids to take it to the next step, play your role. I suppose, be grateful for your parents, take it to the next level, teach them, educate them on what does a African / Aussie, I guess, family look like. So failing, I wouldn't say so, but there's room for progression. That's what I'll say.
Can I speak more to that as well after the next question?
Has a microphone. Please stand. Did you say you wanted to add more? No. Okay, cool. Don't be shy. It's a safe space.
I guess my question, or I just need more clarification on what you meant by you can be a parent and a best friend to your child. I sort of don't see that sort of like correlating or being as one, because personally, as a young kid, I didn't really see my mother as my friend. I saw her as a parent, my mother. It only went until the point I turned into an adult was when I was like, actually, she's more my friend now. So essentially what I'm asking is, at what age do you differentiate between being a parent and being a friend to your child? Because I feel as if you mix those two too early, a sort of lack of respect forms. Because personally, I don't always listen to my friends. Respectfully, I don't always listen to my friends. They can tell me A, B, and C, but at the end of the day, I'm my own person. If I see my parent as that, I'm gonna sort of fade away that line of being a parent, and now you're a friend. I'll listen to you when I want to, rather than you're my parent, I have to listen to you all the time. So yeah, I guess I just want a bit more clarification on that.
I've got a beautiful answer for you. Are you a parent?
No.
Are you a parent yet? Listen to words of wisdom. Your child should be your friend right from when the baby is in the tummy. If you are married, there is family violence, biologically, that child will be affected. So be gentle to your wife when you get married. When the baby is born, love her, nurture her. When their developmental stage comes, they need to know what is good and what is bad. Always be there for them. Where we are failing our children as African parents, strict African family values, I said before, you are not my friend. My mother didn't raise me like that. Do this, do that. No. Work with your child from conception to when they can leave home, so that they can come back home as a safety home. Most of the kids, they run away from home because it's like, I can't go there because dad is there or mom. A home should be a place to run to, not running away from. So it starts from conception.
Nyasha, were you going to add anything before? I was going to say to that point, I think if a child's, like, if someone's not going to listen, they're not going to listen, regardless of if it's a friend or a parent. Like, there are 12-year-olds who are like, shut up, mom, I don't care. Like, I don't necessarily think that, that makes much of a difference. To your point about friendship, I wonder if when we're saying friendship, we're also talking about collaboration, because in a friendship, you collaborate with your friends. You're like, oh, where do we want to go? When do we want to hang out? There's that like mutual respect. And I think when it comes into like a parenting dynamic, I'm going to speak for me. I think it looks like collaboration, where it's like, oh, okay, you decided to not go to school after I dropped you off at school. Why? Let's talk about that. Versus, okay, I'm going to get the belt out, and that's how we decided to deal with that. So yes, those were my 2 cents I wanted to add to that. I saw a lot of people who were, oh, there's a lot of hands. Yes, right at the front there.
Hello, I just want to thank you both for sharing. I think you both had incredible points on both sides of the spectrum of the discussion. In terms of what you said about that cup being filled but there's holes in it, I think that's so true, but I think there's also so much grace that we can give our parents, because they're also doing the best that they can with what they have. But then there's this other side of the coin where we've talked about generational gratitude tonight, and as young people, we sort of have this chance now with the tools that we have, the things that we've seen go right and go wrong, to do something different. And I think we can also be an example to our parents as well, through the things that we are learning, through the access that we have to mental health services, to the ability to be vulnerable in a different way, to maybe our parents might be able to express that. There's something that we can also be almost like pioneers in our families, as almost examples for our families and the older generation. There's like this exchange that can occur between the generations. So between the older people teaching us and us learning from the good things that they've done, and also learning from the mistakes that they've made, but then also realizing that we're in a position where we can be vulnerable, we can now talk about mental health, we have access to these spaces and to community, and we can do something different as well.
One more. Oh, I'm gonna go Beza, only because the other two have already spoken.
Hi. First of all, you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
I feel like you're our Jennifer Hudson, and I love it, so congratulations. I want to kind of tie into a couple things that have been said. My experience, I know, is really different to most people's, because I'm adopted. And one that was tied in just before about the sense of how well we combine together and the things that we do, or whether we're separated. I struggled connecting with the African community because I'm not Ethiopian enough. I don't speak the language, but I look like them, and I never really felt accepted by the African community or the Ethiopian community. I'm not Aussie, but I sound Aussie. But the Aussie are the first to say, you know, where are you from? I've been here since I was 4. I feel very Australian, but I know that there's a sense of connectedness I feel to my African roots. The friendship side of things, I think maybe it's more about like that soft tenderness and nurturing side. I definitely don't want my parents to be my best friend. Because I don't respect them in that way. I respect my parents, and I think there's a level of discipline that's okay, but on a point of gratefulness, as an adopted person, I never got asked to be adopted. I never got asked, because I was too young, do you want to leave your country? And there's a whole thing about the adopted kind of community about the way it happened that wasn't okay, and that was because the Ethiopian community or the people in Ethiopia did things that weren't okay, and then the agencies over here that didn't necessarily do things that were okay. African parents who migrated here, your children, I guess this is to the parents, your children never asked you to do that. You expect them to be grateful. I'm expected to be grateful for being adopted, but I never got asked for that. Your children never asked for you to go from country to country and come to this place, and they deal with so much racism and so many issues day to day at school, being followed in a supermarket, just daily issues that they deal with. They didn't ask for that, and they're learning how to be African for the sake of their parents and their roots and the children that they'll eventually raise, but they're also expected to be grateful, and they understand the hardships that you went through and the sacrifices that you went through to bring them here. But there's got to be a space for collaboration and conversation about what they're going through and what they're experiencing, what we're experiencing, and what you've experienced.
That leads into my next question. And I wasn't sure how I wanted to frame it, so I'm just going to give you all three of them into one question, which is around when we speak about family structures, when we speak about community structures, and how that impacts the youth and the family dynamic. One thing that keeps coming up is migration trauma. And so I guess my question now is, who is the onus on to create, whether it's programs, I don't know, like community groups, support groups, who is the onus on to create those kinds of things for families that are migrating, whether it's as a refugee or through other channels, whether you've come to study, whatever it is, who is the onus on? Is that us as a community to create those programs? Is that the government to identify that if we are going to accept refugees, or if we are going to accept these people into our country, we need to make that process easier so that they are actually able to positively contribute into the society that we have allowed them to? Yes, wait, and then one more. Oh yes, on if we're saying the government, does that become too much government intervention? Where
Zai,
okay, I'm done.
You are dealing with a 61-year-old, so I'll be taking things step by
go.
step. Okay. So regarding the programs, it shouldn't be the government telling us what to do, because one, they don't know what African people are, they don't know our beliefs. I believe in strength-based bottom-up approach. It has to start from grassroots. Programs that are done possibly with lived experience people, they are more productive. Because if someone is coming with their problems, you will listen. Some of us are clinicians and we counsel as well. You will listen, and after that, you start digesting their problems. And then if there's 2, 3 more people coming, that's when you form a program. So that if it's women, domestic violence, or women who have got children in child protection, you put them together using lived experiences, you form a great program, then you can pitch it either to the government or philanthropist, or what Magang was doing, starting a coffee shop so that people can hang around and start talking their issues. So it has to be from the community, because we are the ones who know our problems. However, being a community, sometimes it's hard to find a space to run the programs. That's why collaboration is needed. Did I answer your question?
You did.
Where is my hands?
I agree with what Mama Selba is saying, that we as the people, and going back to the it takes a village to raise a child kind of concept, I think we know what it is to be in that kind of being, displaced or moved from one place to another. So what better person to assist somebody who's having that experience than somebody who has had the lived experience of that. But I do understand that, like she said, there is need for collaboration, and a lot of that stuff is around the funding, because when we need the money, things don't work, unfortunately, without some level of cash coming up. So that's where that kind of steps in. I think governments say they're trying to do or work collaboratively with organizations, grassroots organizations and people, but they have a certain way in which they determine their outcomes, and I don't think that's always helpful because they have a tick like, okay, so how many people have come to your program? 5. Not helpful, but you don't know the impact that those 5 people are going to have on the rest of their communities. Yeah, when you're focused on numbers and did you use all the money? Where did the money go? Who did you find? What did you do with it? How many people were impacted by this? And how can you show us it was impacted? A lot of the work that we're doing is quite qualitative and not quantitative. So there lies the issue. And when you apply for funding, you don't get it. And then things like Sukar was saying, like things don't last. Yeah.
Does anyone have one question? One question. Yes, we'll give it to Ikram.
Thank you so much. And I really love that question because it sort of made me think a bit. And I did write it down because I knew I was going to forget. But especially when it's like, who's the onus on? Is it government? Is it programs? These sorts of things. I was wondering about like the thoughts of parentifications on older siblings, like especially those that come in really big families, because we usually don't talk about them, and they didn't ask for this onus as well. So I'm wondering your thoughts about this, and also how do we go best about supporting them too?
We need an eldest daughters club. That's first and foremost.
I know Nyasha feels passionately about this, so she should go first.
The older children, they always suffer. You gave me permission, yeah?
That's what she was going to say,
yes. Yeah, that's what I already said in a nutshell, yes.
I got to be polite. The older children, when they are looking after other siblings, they suffer because they cannot do things that other young people who are of the same age, to do. If you fail to change a diaper, a mom will come very angry. It's not the responsibility of that young person to change diapers for the sibling, let alone cooking for them. When are they going to do their own school, And you know what? They mature very quickly, but in a wrong way. That's when the hate starts. This is where I was talking about friendship. So you need to tell that older child gently. You didn't choose to look after your siblings. Look at the country where we are living in. Discuss, talk. But if you go ordering the child, make sure they eat. I'm working day and night. I didn't ask you to have a mortgage. They will say that. Then they run away from home. That's where friendship is very important. And for the older siblings who are doing this work, continue to do it. Because we don't have servants here. Help your parents.
That is not where I thought that was
from
going
a young person's perspective.
But everything else needs to do with respect. And also, I will emphasize, have a clean heart. Don't keep grudges. Mom did this. If you keep grudges to your mom, things will go wrong for you on and on. So have that friendship I've been talking about. It answers all the problems. Siblings, they need some help. And please don't pinch them because they are crying.
I move. This is a topic that's quite heated for me, as being the oldest child in my family and being friends with a lot of people who are the oldest sibling or the oldest child. And a lot of it is, the onus is put on you to look after everyone. And for a lot of, and I'm speaking this from a female perspective, but also from a male perspective, a lot of the times, like sometimes fathers are not in the home and the onus is on you to actually be helping to pay the rent or to cover, certain aspects of like the livelihood of the rest of your siblings and your family. And I think from an empathetic standpoint, I think that is quite unfair because it actually strips you away from your childhood or the ability for you to make mistakes, number one, to not be perfect, to be a young person who, at times, like you have your own mind and you want to be rebellious to those things, but you don't have the time, the capacity, or the opportunity to do those things. So it feels sometimes that there's a bit of stuntedness that happens, and then it grows into resentment because now you're saying when you're older, like, all of these years that I've spent taking care of other people's children. That's why some people opt not to have children early because they're like, whew, I finally have a break for me. I can move out of home. I can live by myself. I don't want to hear no when, where, nowhere. But for some people, it actually leads to certain things like, the drug usage, the alcohol usage to be able to cope. And also for some people, crime, because you have to look after your family. How are people going to eat if your mom, for example, can't work because she needs to have certain licensing or paperwork or have to go through school, or there's a language barrier, or all of these other things that we kind of don't really speak about that put young people in those positions as well.
And that is all we have for tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause.